people's default reactions are slowly becoming more volatile, more angry. A basketball team, the Knicks won, people are burning down New York. They're burning down the city because they're happy, apparently. They'd burn it down if they were angry too. The burning down of the city has become like independent from the thing that they're burning it down for, almost as if they were looking for a reason to burn it down, right? It's true for like now the Knicks winning in New York. It was true for when Argentina won the World Cup. It was a catastrophe. There were people in the streets. It looked like a protest. They were rioting. It was just a sea of people, and you wouldn't be able to tell that they were happy about something. It happened to Franz a while ago, and I don't remember what it happened for, but people love this shit. Look at TikTok whenever something like this happens. People are posting videos like Spider-Man's pulled up, Batman's pulled up, the Avengers are here and shit like that. Right? Anime characters are appearing in these places where people are like rioting. They're full of pride for the team that represents their city. They love their city so much that they're going to level it to the ground for no real reason, to no benefit, which confuses me. You rioted in the street the day before you're going to work the next day. Right? How do you feel about that? You participated in people burning a bus. You were one of the people who set fire to it. You were one of the people who are ripping t-shirts off of people who are supporting the opposite team. You just go to work the next day. Right? But people love being angry. It's fun to them. And void of sports, look at people who play games. Your favorite game, you hate that. You hate it. You hate it. You don't enjoy it. It's been long since you enjoyed your favorite game. You've spent thousands of hours in it and you haven't had fun in the last few thousand. 80% of it you've spent just complaining, probably, most likely. Right? You play Valorant, you're complaining about the randomness of the bullets or how your teammates are bad or how the MMR system is bad. You just hate the game in general, but you're going to continue playing. You associate what? To a degree, you associate your self-worth with your rank in the game, right? Because you've played it for thousands of hours. If you've tried this hard, you still aren't good at the thing. Obviously, it's going to affect your perception of yourself, even if you can just look at it and say it's just a game. It's just a game that you spent thousands of hours on. It's strange. It's as strange as puzzles being in horror games. Why is that a thing? Right? Something happens, I'm gonna be angry about it. Do I not have a reason to be angry about it? I'll make a reason to be angry about it. I don't care. I want to be angry. That's how people are. That's how people are with controversy too. There'll be something that like it isn't an issue, but people like misconstrue. They'll change it into an issue, or they'll just look for something that otherwise they'll never hear about to complain about it. It's just how it is, right? They'll take a situation, they'll change the context the situation happens in, and then they'll pretend like it was always the case so that they can continue to argue about it. People will, there'll be two sides to an issue, right? One of the two sides, right, will be doing most of the discourse. They'll be having the conversation, and the other side will keep quiet for the most part. If that happens, the side that's doing most of the discussion, they will split into two different groups and then argue amongst each other. You agree on the same thing. What are you doing? It stops being about the thing that you were originally angry about, and it's more like, I have to take this anger out on something, right? So I'm splitting us up so that I can argue with you instead. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? There's no benefit to it, right? That feeling of anger just feels good. You're getting frustration. So you just want to yell at something, you just fucking yell at it. Who's going to stop you? Nobody's checking whether you're justified in being angry or not. Well, people do, but those people are snuffed out very quickly. You just ignore those people. Those people aren't fun to be around. I'm only interacting with the people who are actively participating in the discourse. If somebody says, no, I agree with you, then it's like, no, we have to continue this. It's boring if we don't. Jason Louis in Petting Zoo. He brought a petting zoo in his house. He called by one of the heads of Volvea Sanctuary, one of the people who teaches people about the pet trade and its harms and how it abuses animals. He video calls her, shows her the petting zoo, unaware that it was actually contributing to the pet trade and that it was harmful to the animal. Those animals are essentially being abused. Animals, you shouldn't transport them around to different places. They shouldn't be like mobile petting zoos and whatever, right? They had pure intentions when it came to that being a situation. You don't want animals to be abused. But do I teach this guy about it or do I just make fun of him? Fuck, this is difficult. One of the biggest thing from that situation, the biggest thing that I picked up on, apart from how the people who had good intentions seem to have combined with people who just like knowing things that other people don't know, right? People were insulting this guy. If what he did was intentional, you'd have every right to insult him, right? But you had to assume that it was intentional as opposed to just him not knowing about these things and about the pet trade and X, Y, and Z. You had to assume that he did it intentionally. And where does that assumption come from? Came from nowhere. You wanted to be angry. It has to be. You made some shit up so that you can continue arguing about it. The thing on its own, it warrants you being upset. It does, right? Like, I think that's inarguable. But the solution was too simple. The solution being education was not something that you can drag on. It's not something you can talk about for too long. Because then it means you just educate the guy and you move on. Right? That's boring. Now, if the issue is that this person simply does not care about animals, now we have a conversation. Now we have a story. Now we have something to talk about for like a week or 2 weeks. Now we can be angry. Now I can insult this guy. I can insult people who are defending this guy. Now I can defend this guy. Now I can insult people who are insulting this guy. We can have discourse. This is what the internet's for. I don't want to talk about something peacefully and calmly with someone. I do that every day. Now arguments though, it's like freeing. When you talk with someone, you have to go through these systems saying specific things to people. You don't want to disrespect this person. You have no reasons. You would be a bad person for doing so. Right? You want to have a discussion with someone, you have to be cordial. On the internet, that does not exist. That's not real. I don't like what you said. You are an idiot. You've lost your mind. Your brain doesn't work correctly. So that's how it works. You don't know something I know. The only reason why that would be the case is because your brain doesn't work correctly. I've decided that. Right? And I get to choose. As the person who knows everything, I can know that you don't know something intentionally. I can know that I'm always correct. It's not like we're going to have discussions where there's no objective correct answer, right? People have discussions about subjective media, and then they'll insult the person who disagrees with them as if there's an objectively correct answer. You can never be proven right. I thought we knew this. Your interpretation of a book or your opinion on a piece of media, that it's yours. Nobody can tell you that you're correct. But that's just how it works. Unfortunately. Not unfortunately. It's fine. It's fine. That's not an issue. Right? But people will treat the subjective media like it's an objective thing so that they can continue to argue about it. You know why. Right? Some people's lives are like, not life specifically. That's very rude. Some people go through things, but they can never express what they're feeling properly. So they just take it out on somebody on the internet. That's how they treat it. Say whatever they want on it. They can release that anger. And for better or for worse, it's for worse. They'll just say what they want on the internet. They'll go back to their daily life with the weight lifted off of their shoulders. Right now that they've been able to tell somebody that they've never met to off themselves because they had a different opinion for them or they possibly made a mistake. So people who want the physical forms of violence, they just wait for a football team to win, and then all hell breaks loose. Right, everything disappears. You go back to the city, it's just leveled buildings, like that one part of My Hero Academia where fucking Shigaraki awoke from his slumber. Everything's gone. There's nothing left to look at. There's nothing left to see. All the people have evacuated to, mind you, they were all happy. That's why it happened. And it doesn't make sense to me. Well, no, it does. It's like it makes sense to me. It's the cousin of the mentality of why you play a scary game or watch a scary movie. Fear is not a fun emotion. Neither is anger. But I mean, I'm subjecting myself to it willingly for no real reason. That's fine. We as people do these things. It's only reasonable. It only makes sense. I can't put it into words. It's not like I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. But it makes sense to me. I don't like being scared in real life. But a scary game is fine. And it's not justification for it at all. I think there were people who were injured in France when that one thing happened. I forgot what it was. There were people who were injured in Argentina, and in some cases people have lost their lives to people just rioting for no reason. I think that's horrible, right? We are reminded that actions have consequences. Well, no, you should always keep in mind that actions have consequences. Was it worth it, right? Nothing bad actually happened and their lives are now permanently affected because of it. Right? It's horrible. It's horrible. For something that didn't need to happen, there are long-lasting consequences for it. People have loved outrage for years. This is not even close to being a new thing. From probably before Michael Jackson's time. This is why depictions of what the media and movies and shows is such a common thing, because people will observably care more for forms of outrage than they do for positive things, right? Especially positive things that don't affect them. Right? It's just a normal thing. It's a bad thing, but it's a normal thing. With the whole thing with Michael Jackson, he had a skin condition, vitiligo, no? It changes the color of his skin. People saying, no, we'll just pretend like he's bleaching himself. That's a crazy thing to say about someone. That's what they did though. People read that article and this is a sentiment people carry to this day. To this day, they genuinely believe that about it. That's not a good thing by any means, right? It's a horrible situation. It's a horrible thing that they just made up and rolled with. That's a thing that we do to this day. Look at half of the drama YouTubers. Look at WestJet's channel. Half of his videos, everybody hates this guy. What did that guy do? Yeah, he did something that's bad. He's not evil. You'd think that everybody wants to execute this guy. That's how internet outrage is. There's real outrage, there's fake outrage. Real outrage is allegedly having intercourse with your cousin, and fake outrage is just whatever people feel like talking about that week. There are people who be angry at someone for not talking about something, right? Not talking about something that they've never spoken about before. I think to a degree, if there's something going on, if it's not too far out of your realm, I think you should talk about it. Somebody doesn't want to talk about something, it must be because they're on that side of the thing. Because I'm on this side and I'm willing to talk about it. That's kind of the mentality people have with it. You can assume what people's opinions are for one thing based off of what their opinion is for another thing. Is that wrong? Maybe. I don't know. But I thought this is a thing that we did. Somebody has an opinion that's kind of on this side of the thing. I feel like they're less likely to have other opinions that are on that side. I think the sides themselves are a byproduct of people wanting to argue, wanting some form of opposition. People want somebody to look at and say that's the bad guy because it makes life easier. Right? That's why personality tests and IQ tests exist, right? Because it's far easier to just dumb down a whole separate human being into this idea of an IQ test or this idea of a personality test, because I can just reference that personality test whenever I have to interact with this person. And it makes it easier to have social interactions, but it's wrong. Two people can get the same thing for personality tests. They're still two different people. They've lived two different lives. They act very different. Two people can be very similar in your head, but they are very, very different. Human beings are very complicated. You cannot dumb them down to tests and groups and categories. Somebody can have an opinion that's on the right and the left, but it's not treated as such. In terms of wanting to be angry, having groups helps a lot, because it's having to think about somebody's opinion, having to break it down and having to compare it to my own opinion. And if I think what they think is inherently wrong, having to do that is a lot of effort for what I want to do, which is just argue with them or just to be angry in general. Because arguing is a thing that's also dying out. People just want to be angry. Arguments were the precursor precursor to the fun part of like every discourse, right? You'd argue against this person so that you can eventually say, yeah, I'm right and you're wrong, and you were an idiot for ever doubting me. That's the fun part of an argument, the part where you win. People have kind of just started, just jumping to the part where they insult the person that they were arguing with. And I don't think you should insult them. Like, regardless of what I mean. Yeah, no, some people deserve to be insulted, right? I think a lot of situations we're just going to take the part that we want to argue about, and then like what actually happened, we'll just throw it aside. We'll make a new thing and then we'll talk about that. They itch at their skin. They just want something to complain about, like Twitter people who use Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I don't understand that group of people. People just like treat Twitter as like a cesspool of engagement bait. There's people who just are like neo-Nazis. That's a group of people that exists on Twitter, right? And there's a whole group of people who make people angry so that they can be angry at the people that they made angry, right? It's a whole thing. It's a whole loop, a cycle of people just upsetting each other for no reason. I like arguing to a degree. I do. I think it's fun. I think arguments that can be backed up by like objective, well, no, it's like a mix. I can't say anything definitive about it, right? I like arguments where like it's about something subjective, but we can relate it to something that is objective, something that did actually happen, right? We're talking about TV shows. I want to be able to reference something that actually did happen in the TV show to have my arguments about, well, my opinion, right? I'm using something objective to reference something subjective. And I kind of get tired when people use something that's subjective to reference something subjective. You have an opinion that this person is the best artist in the world, which is like an opinion that you're allowed to have, but you want to have an argument about it, which isn't that, to me, that's like a waste of time. Why are we arguing that you think that person's the best artist in the world? It's an opinion. That's how opinions work. You get to decide. That's not something you can argue about. Why are you trying to? Drake or Kendrick, who are you going to use to confirm who's correct in this argument? God? Who are you going to ask? There's nobody who can tell you you're correct or not. Of course, you're going to ask your friends. They're going to have the same opinion than you. You guys are similar. You guys are friends. What are you doing? Right? Why are we arguing about things like that? But you reference something that's subjective and you reference it to a different subjective point to make your argument. That I think you're wasting your time. I don't see any value in those types of arguments. My opinion is already that, like, I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. I'll just use him as an example. I think he's one of the best hip-hop artists of all time. What do I use to substantiate the points I referenced to Pimp a Butterfly? I think that's one of the best albums of all time. Those were both opinions. I used an opinion to try and argue for an opinion. Any foray into like anything to do with power scaling or what show is better than what show, we're wasting time. What is the point of arguing stuff like this? You like Jujutsu Kaisen, cool, right? You watched it and you enjoyed it. That's all that it comes down to, right? Stop looking for an objective reason to like a subjective media. It doesn't actually exist. But what anime you hate, somebody loves it. That's just how it is. Every show, music, song, whatever, there's somebody who genuinely likes the thing that you're saying is horrible and you think shouldn't exist. And I think the only reason you're upset about it is because you put too much emphasis on your own opinion. You just like arguing about shit. Now, for the sake of arguing about shit, because feeling like you're correct is far more entertaining than actually approaching the person that's on the other side of the screen like a human being and having a cordial conversation with somebody who might be willing to do so. Also, games. I forgot about games. I haven't played Expedition 33. My computer can't run that shit. They said that it was one of the best games at the Game Awards. I was like, yeah, sure. I wouldn't know. The Spider-Man people who play like Call of Duty, mind you, I'm not unbiased here. I'm not at all. There were the Spider-Man people who play like FIFA and all those like surface level games. There was the Expedition 33 people who are more willing to play like any genre of games, who are more open-minded when it comes to games. Those people, yes, I do believe that their opinion is more valuable, but an opinion is an opinion. It doesn't matter. Your opinion is as valuable, in the most literal sense, your opinion is as valuable as anybody else's, right? It doesn't matter. This is why I don't understand the thing of like game reviews. You're just a dude. You're not, who told you that you can tell me what I'm going to play and what I'm not going to play? This turn-based game doesn't deserve to be game of the year, right? Because it's turn-based and I don't like turn-based games because we asked you. You're the guy. We care about what you specifically think about this fucking genre of games. Your opinion matters as much as anybody else's. We pretend like subjective media is objective by how many people care about that form of media. I think Titanfall 2 is a great game. I do. I can fully understand people not liking it. Not to say that it has its issues. No, I think it's great. But if you don't like shooters, you wouldn't like it. That's just how it is. And it's not like you're wrong. It's not like there's an issue with you. You just don't fucking care for it. That's all it is. There's no reason to hate you about it. But no, a lot of people just argue about it. What is there to argue about? You just don't like the game. But no, it's sure, I guess. And people realize you can't argue opinions. Yeah, I'll complain about Call of Duty because I played some of them. But I haven't played like the new Call of Duty and I didn't even know that shit was going to release. So I don't actually have any criticisms about it. I didn't play it, right? I should be fine with not talking about it. There's people who will talk about something that they're LARPing, which LARPing is, it's a whole cycle of shit. Calling someone a LARPer is what you say when you want to discredit somebody. But being a LARPer is the thing that you do when you want to be part of a conversation you have no right being in. There's two separate groups of people and then it's more like a range actually. And the range is also like goes upwards. It's like the political test or whatever the hell it's called. No, back to the fucking Spider-Man thing. There's spawn two different people who just argue their opinions to each other as if either of them can be proven right. If I agreed with your opinion, maybe I'd have the same opinion. Yeah, you want the people who made a piece of media to get credit for that thing. If you think one game is more deserving than another game, you're entitled to that opinion. Why are you angry about it though? There's nothing you can do about it, right? It's not even like you're inherently apparently correct, right? More people thought this thing, so that's why it happened. The people who are upset that like the new God of War is coming out with Kratos' wife, Faye, those people are also people who want to be angry at shit. Stuff that does not matter. That has no effect on gameplay. It actually does. It legitimately has nothing to do with it, right? What part of it are you upset about? No part of it. You're not upset about anything. It's something that people use to grift. It's something to grift about, so they're doing exactly that. It's not even that they have an issue with the fact that it's a woman in the game who actually would care. Like, no, legitimately. Those people have lives. They also have brains. Do you know how many people disagree with you on a daily basis? Like, there are people around you actively who do not agree with you on many things. You're not talking to those people about your opinions. Some guy online, though, you feel like you have to argue with this person. You don't. You don't. It's the same thing. You just want to be angry. The whole basis of a lot of the questions people ask to like streamers and like YouTubers and stuff exist for the sole purpose of potentially arguing about their answer. That's crazy, you know? What do you think is harder, 9 to 5 or streaming? The answer is obvious, but you're asking them for the slight chance that they say streaming is, so that you can argue about that, so that you can say this person does not deserve what they have. That's what the goal is. Do you think you deserve the amount of money you have? There's others. These have communities that exist for the sole purpose of like spreading hate, because happiness is like happiness is fleeting, hate is lasts, and it's something to feel. Most people don't feel things. Most of life is dull, so if I can have an emotion, I'll grasp onto it with my life, right? I'll make a subreddit that exists for just insulting groups of people. Can you imagine walking up to like people who are destroying the city? Like, why are you doing this? I don't know. I just felt like it feels appropriate, so I'm doing it. I don't care. It is as it is. Right? Niggas are just destroying a bus for fun, for no reason. This level of it doesn't make sense.